I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Global Book Network, we're diving into the world of education with a book that empowers teachers and transforms classrooms. The name of the book, Coaching in the Trenches, a field guide for coaching in the classroom. It is written by a terrific author. Her name is Erin Johnson Montgomery, and she delivers a practical, hands-on resource packed with strategies to help coaches guide educators toward growth, confidence, and excellence. From navigating tough conversations to inspiring self-discovery, this book is a must-read for anyone passionate about making a lasting impact in education. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Erin, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very passionate about coaching and the field of education. So being able to share that passion and share some of my biggest pitfalls, oopsie daisies, greatest accomplishments, so that other people don't have to fall into that same routine or that same oopsie daisy. So I'm really excited. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when I think back on my own educational career um, or my school days, the teachers kind of drove me crazy, particularly in grammar school. But the coaches I liked. They were empowering. You know what I mean? So I like the idea of coaching in the context of education. Talk to us a little bit about that aspect.
So, as an instructional coach, my true purpose in the classroom is to really help the teachers find their best selves. Because if you have happy, productive teachers, it's going to matriculate down to your scholars. And at
Mhm.
the end of the day, we're going to get great outcomes of learning. And additionally, we're going to also be able to like inspire a love of learning, because if teachers are happy and present and really giving their best, then that's going to show up in our students and in the culture of the schools everywhere. So I really
Exactly.
feel like my purpose is to help people step into their power in their classrooms and really find their best selves and just be a little bit better than they were yesterday.
Tell us a little bit about your work as a classroom coach.
So I started teaching 20 years ago, and I didn't have a clue. You
Mhm.
go through schooling and you're ready to go and you're so idealistic and so young. And then the realities of the classroom really hit hard. And I found myself alone without a support, kind of just, I was handed the TEKS, which are the standards in Texas, handed them for the class and said,
Mhm.
figure it out, make sure
Yeah.
that our students are learning everything they possibly can, but there was no assistance. And so the first couple of years I fumbled around and I was just not as present and as joyful as I could be. And that showed up in my students. And I told myself that is not why I became a teacher, because we all have servant hearts as teachers. I feel like we don't go into the industry for fame and fortune. That's clearly not what we do. It's a work of heart, and we want to pour ourselves into it. And if we don't have people that are coaching us and supporting us, we're gonna pour ourselves out, and there's going to be nothing left. And that's why you're seeing all of these teachers at an alarming rate get burnt out, leaving the profession, or going from that beautiful idealistic person that's passionate to somebody who is just going in to the classroom for a paycheck. And the students, they can smell that. And if you're not authentically you in the classroom, it's going to reflect in the behavior of your students, the learning of your students, and all of that.
How do we keep teachers, basically, in other words, from getting jaded? You know, and you're right. I see that with teachers. They come in, they're enthusiastic, they've got their big bundle of papers. And after 2 or 3 years in school, they're like ready to pull their hair out. So,
Yes.
how do we prevent that burnout and keep that optimism and enthusiasm and create an atmosphere where children are going to thrive?
So the simple answer is take care of our teachers. We
Mhm.
need administrators, we need coaches, we need leadership that understands that mental health really matters. And if our teachers aren't present and healthy and balanced, they're going to turn into those jaded teachers that really can't care anymore. And it shows in how our students grow up and launch out into the world. And then we get adults who can't function in society as well as they could had they have had that joy of learning and that curiosity.
Absolutely. Could you share with us a success story, perhaps, where coaching truly transformed a teacher's approach?
So it's really funny that you bring this up because I immediately think of this veteran teacher that I had my first year of coaching who was like, I've been teaching longer than you've been alive. I know what I'm doing. I've got my ways set. And all I did is the worst thing you can do as a coach is go in and try to set yourself as the expert
Hmm.
because the teacher is the expert in the classroom. They know what's going to work for their students. They have a specific learning and teaching style that's theirs. If you go in saying, I want this from you, they're never going to buy in, and it's gonna breed a kind of resentment, and they're going to get stagnant because they're not going to look forward toward you to grow because you're proving to them that you don't see their value. And so the most important thing is to literally, like it says in the title, be in the trenches with the teachers. It's
Hmm.
not an opportunity to gotcha or do better or this is what I see you need to work on. No, it's relational. You learn about that person, they're multifaceted selves. They're not just a warm body in a classroom that's like a robot teaching. No, they're a human being. They've got hopes, dreams, experiences, and you got to learn how to tie all of that in and figure out what they really want in the class.
In the book, you also talk about stepping back from the fixer role. And I guess that's a little bit of what you just addressed right now, right?
Get better every day and refine and refine. And before you know it, you're the best teacher that you could possibly be in the classroom.
Hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. How common is it for school districts to have coaches like yourself available to the teaching staff?
So it's a relatively newer practice, which is something that I actually state in the book. I was just thrown in like, oh, you've been teaching for a little while, now go coach.
Mhm.
And administrators don't really know because the administrators are the instructional leaders. They don't really always necessarily know what to do with the coach. And
Mhm.
so, really, it's in my mind, the coach's responsibility to have those kind of crucial conversations, sometimes hard conversations with the administration to make sure that the coach's vision of what a coach should be doing and the instructional leadership's vision aligns. Because if it doesn't align, there's going to be that friction, and you're not going to get the best results out of your teachers, which will yield the best response out of your scholars.
What advice do you have for a coach working with a resistant teacher?
So the first thing I say, Logan, is I don't give advice
Mhm.
because advice means that you're giving it to somebody,
Mhm.
and I want my teachers to own it. So what I give them is options that I see because I'm not them, so I'm a little farther emotionally removed from the situation.
Mhm.
But what I would tell them as a coach is, how are you showing up? How are you interacting with the coach or I'm so sorry, the teacher? How are you presenting yourself? Because if they're resistant, a lot of the times it's because of the presence of the coach, what they're bringing, how they're interacting. Because I've had many, like that coach or the teacher I was talking about earlier, how she immediately was like, well, I'm 43 years in the field and you're not even that old, blah, 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 like to becoming my biggest cheerleader because I showed up for her. I was consistent. I said what I meant and I meant what I said.
Hmm.
And I led forward, but I allowed her to see what she was excited about working on and then supporting that up. I didn't say, I need you to work on your classroom management, your this or that. It's like, what is it that you see that you want to get better at?
Yeah.
It's having conversations and not bringing your armor down so that it's like a collaboration versus I'm telling you to do a thing.
Absolutely. Who is your target audience for this book?
So the interesting thing about the book is that it is for instructional coaches, but if you take off the hat of an instructional coach and you are a teacher, a lot of what is written in here works very well with your scholars because I believe that teachers are facilitators and coaches for their students.
Mm.
So a lot of what is in the book is going to work really well in the classroom with the kids because it's the same ideas. It's relational. It's the teacher knowing themselves well enough to know their triggers, their triumphs, all of those things to like really understand and get a self-awareness of them. So teachers, coaches, instructional leadership, because it's oftentimes in schools that don't have instructional coaches, the principals and the administrators and the instructional leadership actually are the coaches and they are the ones working with the students or the teachers who are working with the students.
Gotcha, gotcha. You know, it's funny. We started this interview by saying I wasn't crazy about my teachers growing up. I have to make a confession. My teachers were mostly nuns, and they were not
Oh,
very joyful. So
yes.
they needed a little coaching to put their smiles back on their faces. So they could have used this book without a doubt, or had a coach like you come in and show them how to have a lot of life, energy, and passion for students who aren't always as receptive as they'd like them to be. This book
Logan,
is
those are really the students that need us to show up for them the most because they're showing us they need us, they're communicating, but they're just not communicating in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So oftentimes the behavior cases are the kids that need us the most.
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. And the ruler on the knuckles wasn't always the way to go, but I know that's not done anymore. But
Yikes.
and thank goodness for people like you who make the classroom joyful. And thank goodness for a book like this, which will help you transform your classroom, whether you're an educational coach or a teacher or an administrator who'd like to implement some of these wonderful practices. The name of the book is Coaching in the Trenches, a field guide for coaching in the classroom. It is a powerful toolkit for educators and coaches and teachers and administrators ready to inspire lasting change in the classroom. Erin, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me. I love talking about education and finding curiosity and joy. So thank you so much for having me on.
Well, we appreciate your great spirit, your great enthusiasm, and your great passion for the field of education. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.